All right, hey there, guys. It's Metro, and we are back again talking about Paladin because I did a video yesterday on talents. I guess relatively controversial video, and since Paladin has become even more controversial, and there's actually a lot of weird things going on with them right now that were shocking to people. And I was streaming them today, so if you guys didn't see the stream from today, we did probably, yeah, I think we probably did at least like 6 dungeons on Prop Pally, and I think it went really well. I really like where they're at. They have some really, really powerful choices. There's a lot of bugs right now. And of course, you can't even get to 70. So it's hard to see all these choices play out. But I think they're in a much improved state. So people who were asking me on stream today about how I feel about Prop Pally, I didn't really play them that much on live. And I admit that. I played mostly Holy Pally this expansion. But I did, I played a lot of Prop Pally over the years because Holy Pally used to be my main. And I always enjoyed tanking 5-man. So I was tanking Prop Pally. And to be honest, dude, I feel like they're in the best state they've ever been in Dragonflight. Now, again, I'm not a pro or an expert. Obviously, I play Blood DK 99% of the time I play the game, but it's still something I feel like I have an opinion on, and you guys can have your own opinions on that. But one of the things that was very important that happened on the stream and the last 2 days on the alpha was that people were noticing that Avenger's shield no longer has an actual interrupt capability, and it also doesn't have a holy power generator. Okay, so that's a big change, and the question was whether or not it was intended. So I would say, before we read the post, that no, it wasn't intended. I said that on the stream multiple times. People were really upset, but I said, it's a good way to look at this is it is intended, and try to understand why they might do it, because you're either going to be understanding that, and that's how it's going to be, or you're not going to have to worry about that, and you'll be relieved. But instead, people take the opposite approach. They're mad at Blizzard for changing something, and they don't try to see it from their point of view. And even though partially it ends up being a bug, now you're dealing with this emotion for no reason. It's the alpha. It's build 3 of the alpha. You can literally not even know about this. Most game companies would not even tell you about these types of things. We're basically seeing class iteration 4 months in advance of when you're actually going to play it officially. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. And we'll talk about that more in a second. But I just want to point out, because, this also got brought up on stream. And my point was that Avenger Shield is more powerful than it is on Live WoW, but that there's a lot of things that could make it more interesting. Okay. Now, granted, some of these are in the game currently, but I still don't really know which ones are and which ones aren't. But if you guys haven't seen, there's Avenger Shield. Okay. Then there's the Grand Crusader thing, which is just like a passive that the class has now, I believe. And of course, that is a heavy influence on the shields. You could not take that if you don't want to use Avenger Shield, which is what some people were saying they were doing. And I don't know how that even works, but yeah, you can not take that. And then there's also another talent to modify it. Grand Crusader's chance is increased to 20%, and it grants you strength. So I don't really know what these things are or if they're in the game currently. Some of this stuff sounds like a BFA Azerite trait to me. Whenever you see like a thing that happens and gives you stats, that was like a really common thing in BFA. Maybe that's a conduit. I don't really know. But regardless, it's, those are 2 things that interact with it in the talent tree. There's also Bulwark of Order, which I'm 99% sure is in the game currently, but I don't know exactly, what the percentage is. It goes all the way up to 100% of the damage dealt as a shield. I tested that today on the live stream. We have the logs on the stream there, and it was not impressive. I didn't think that the shielding portion of it was very impressive, and I'm going to tell you why in a little bit, but it wasn't very impressive. We also have, I feel like I'm going to miss some, but these 2 are, these 3 really, actually these 4 are like insanely crucial. So I used both of these. Farron Marcus's strength, and I don't know if this exists right now, but it seems this seems great, and it's going to eventually be 30% more to its primary target, which is, I think, excellent, because as a tank you really do want to have a priority target at times, and even if it's just cleaving off the boss onto trash or something like that, it's very valuable. There's also Tears Enforcer. Your Avenging Shield is imbued with Holy Fire, which is awesome. That's just awesome. It doesn't really help you survive, but it's just freaking awesome. It just looks amazing. I love it, and I would take this talent above any other talent at this point. Like, I would always have this talent in my build, even if it's not very powerful. But then here we have a very interesting option here, because the way the other talents synergize, these 2 can be incredibly powerful. So I honestly think, first of all, the extra jumps would mean extra absorbs and extra damage with the talents we've talked about. but it's very rare that you're actually going to get value out of those extra jumps right now in the keys or the dungeons that we're doing on the alpha. So I was actually thinking about going to the other option, which is Avenger's Shield does 200% increased damage, but only strikes one target. I was scared to do that on stream because I felt like I might not have a good amount of AoE threat. But honestly, since it doesn't interrupt anymore, at least currently on the beta, I think this is a really good talent. And I think this is really overlooked because 200% increased damage when we're talking about all these other synergies seems very powerful. So I think I should have tried this. I never did. But then there's also this here. Crusader's Resolve. Enemies hit by Avenger Shields deal 5% reduced damage to you for 10 seconds. And that's a maximum of 3 stacks. The problem is we got almost no resets. I guess I'm used to the legendary that I've been using on LiveWow that gives more use of it. That should probably be in the kit somewhere. I think that talent, that legendary, I think that'd be a really good one. But it'd actually be way better talent than a legendary, that's for sure. But that's powerful. You know, I don't have any way to quantify that. And I also tried this talent, Moment of Glory, for the next 15 seconds. Avenger Shield damage is increased by 20%. And it generates an additional absorb and the cooldown's reduced. This talent sucks. I tried this and it just doesn't help. It's 20% more damage and more absorb sounds great on paper, but it's just not enough. It's very bad for an actual, it's just not tuned well enough, I'd say right now. It needs to do maybe 100% more and 50% more damage or something. But it's just not very good. For a 1.5 minute CD, there are way, way, way better 1.5 minute CDs in the game. And, one of them is this, and this is a 1 minute cooldown. So this is 10 times better than that talent in all ways. And there's also this talent over here. When you use Avenger Shield, your block chances increase. So there's a lot of different ways to buff Avenger Shield, okay? So this is just all getting you... And then there's also Divine Toll, which is a whole nother problem. Let me quickly say that Divine Toll right now is very disappointing. It's mostly because of the things we're about to talk about, but it's really deep in the talent tree, and it's not doing anything that helps you, really. There's way better talents. So I used it in dungeons, and because of the changes that they made to the spell, it just felt like a complete waste of a talent. But I do think you can take the talents you want. Like, I don't want to fill this all out now, but I'm pretty sure you can take this talent and this talent, and that would be a very good dungeon. I mean, let's just find out, I guess. But yeah, I think in terms of just actually playing the spec, it was very fun. I really enjoyed it. I think I had more fun on it than I normally do when I play, the character that I have on LiveWow. It's actually really engaging, and it has some really powerful stuff. How many points do we have left? Oh, we got plenty of points. Yeah. You're good, man. You're good. This is easy mode, dude. Yeah, 100%. You can take this stuff. So, and we still have 3 points left over as well. And obviously we skipped some pretty relatively crucial stuff, but can we actually get, we only have 1 point at that point. So we can get one of those traits. So that's interesting. I mean, we don't have to take 2 points here. So yeah, okay. So there we go. So we can do this. This is a pretty cool build, guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Soaring Shield plus Divine Toll sounds really cool, right? But the problem here is this, and if you guys haven't seen, some things are going on with Avenger Shield that were out of left field, and I'm gonna say that because in Shadowlands Alpha they changed a few things about Holy Power and the Prot Pally spells, and I think what they're saying they're trying to do now they try to do in Shadowlands, and it just did not work. And I'll just explain that why in a second. But the thing was they communicated on that. And they told us about it beforehand. So that's a good thing. And they did not do it this time. Now they're replying, but it's not even 24 hours later, but still they are replying after the fact. So let's take a look at this post here. This guy's talking about Divine Steed. I don't really get that comment. But this person says, also notice that Avenger Shield isn't interrupting or silencing targets. So yes, on the alpha currently, Avenger Shield does not interrupt targets. And there was a debate about this in the stream today. And my stance on it is it sounds like a bug. But if it wasn't a bug, I could actually see why they would remove that functionality of it because it's overpowered. Like when you have a 45-second cooldown with the talent that is an AoE interrupt for pretty much every single caster within 20 yards of you, maybe that's a little overpowered on top of everything else Divine Toll did, and I was thinking, they want to stick with Divine Toll, so it now needs to be balanced again. And that's not really the right way to do it, but that's what I was thinking that they were thinking. And then so people were saying like it's iconic, and I agree, it is iconic, but it's always been overpowered. And the thing is, Prop Pally has a very utility focused kit, so I always felt like it was fine. But now that all the classes are looking to come up in that way, you know what I mean? Like druids are getting buffs, and like actual buffs, and DK is getting all new utility things, like they're getting offense stuff. So it's like you got to start to rethink about what Paladin does. You know what I mean? And I could see that being the case. But luckily, they reply here, so we don't have to guess. Thank you for your feedback. A few rank 2 spell upgrades were overlooked in the conversion. As noted, Divine Steed's 15-second cooldown reduction and Avenger Shield Silence. So that's why this guy's saying it's like a 1-minute CD or something. I don't know. Having a horse, it's very, very good on the alpha, I feel like. So I didn't even realize it was a longer cooldown. Very powerful to have everything that we have for that. But he says this will be included in the baseline version of the spell in the future, along with fixes for some of the bugs you all have identified in this thread. So, big deal. Yeah, in fact, you can look at this. Avenger Shield, here's rank 1, does a bunch of stuff. And then rank 2 at level 44, you're supposed to get interrupting and silencing the non-player target for 3 seconds. So that doesn't happen until level 44 in live WoW. That's really late, actually. I had no idea that was the case. But you see it says on rank 1 here, generates 1 holy power. So currently Divine, I keep saying the wrong word, Divine Toll also, but Avenger Shield does not generate holy power. And when we were talking about whether or not this was a bug or not, I was like, yo, I could see them changing the interrupt portion, but I bet the holy power thing's a bug. Well, I was wrong. It's the other way around. And let's read what they say about that. Avenger's Shield is intentionally no longer generating holy power. Probably should have said this yesterday. This is a part of an effort to constrain Shield of the Righteous uptime and transfer some of the Protection Paladin's defensive power out of Shield of the Righteous and into other cooldowns and forms of mitigation. We want Shield of the Righteous to feel like it makes you strong, rather than an essential component of our baseline passive survivability. And that is actually really well said. As for Divine Toll, though, I'm trying to separate these two because they're very different spells. As for Divine Toll, part of what has made that ability fun and impactful is its flood of resources. We're exploring ideas for how to reincorporate this in a future version of this ability. In general, thank you all, and please keep the feedback coming. So, we have a big problem here because they said something that I initially did not think about and did not want to hear, but now that they've said it, it makes complete sense. This is part of an effort to constrain Shield of the Righteous uptime, right? Now, again, I'm not a Paladin expert, but I'm pretty sure that Shield of the Righteous is just up a lot, 90-some%, if not 100%. Am I right about this? You guys let me know if you play the spec. In raid fights, I've heard that it is up a very, very high amount. And, we were having trouble with somebody who I was playing alongside, who was playing playing Prod as well. And we noticed that was the big difference. Their uptime was 20 to 30%, where others are well into the 90s or something. So it's okay, that's kind of boring. I feel like that's kind of weird, right? That's if I just always had Death Strike up every second global. And that happens when you get really high haste. You know what I mean? And so this is pretty uncommon in the beginning of expansions to be an issue. And I actually really like that they're saying this because that was why Prop Pally sucked. Do you guys remember Season 1? Now, to be fair, they also had problems with armor and health pool, and those things were adjusted. But the problem is Paladin's always, and just like Death Knight, is always going to be at its weakest early because their main mitigation comes from a haste-driven cooldown, okay? Now, Vengeance has some of this, Brewmaster has some of this, but they don't rely on them like they do, like these two specs do. These things are haste-driven cooldowns, mostly Death Strike, but also Shield of the Righteous. So at the beginning, when you have very little haste, it's the worst version the kit can, give you. So they're saying they want to stop that, basically. We want Shield of the Righteous to be another cooldown, and it should not be part of your baseline mitigation. So are they accurate in saying that? Yes, I think so. There is a dozen new talents that help you mitigate damage. One of them is all the shit we just talked about. When you use Avenger Shield, you are way more powerful defensively. It's awesome. It's really cool, to be honest. And so these two talents together are going to dramatically improve your actual HPS and your DPS, you know? So I think they nailed it. Word of Glory, all these things, man. There's some really cool stuff. Golden Path now being for everybody. Lots of different iterations that you can do on the prop pally to make your character strong. But I think people are too looking, at Shadowlands and trying to compare it directly to that, and then they find things that aren't favorable, like 1-to-1 in a vacuum, I guess more so, and they dislike it, But in reality, you got to look at the whole kit because it's changed. The entire class has changed in a way that's irrevocable, and this is what we asked for. Don't forget, people don't want borrowed power. Well, now you have to re-examine how the kit is proliferated. Okay. So here's the situation. You have a bunch of talents that dramatically improve the uptime of your actual CDs. Each hit of Avenger's Shield reduces the remaining cooldown on Guardian and Ancient Kings. And we have a talent that makes it hit more targets. You know what I mean? It's like actually genius, dude. They did a great job with these things. More holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown on Guardian and Ancient Kings. And guess what? You can take all of this stuff. It's all still here, and I think it's only improved from Shadowlands. But again, I don't really play Paladin that much. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I think the conversation we had on the stream that was, a little heated. I think the people who were on that side will probably be satisfied because it seemed like the prevailing notion was that the interrupt thing is iconic. We don't want it to go. Even if Blizzard thinks it needs to go, it's very sad to hear that. The Holy Power thing is overpowered. So let me quickly talk about Divine Toll and why that this spell is no longer a viable spell in the kit. If it is not going to generate Holy Power, don't put the spell in the kit. That is actually the number one reason why it's a powerful spell. You have a full 5 Holy Power spell on a lower than 1 minute cooldown if you take a second talent for it. There's another thing like that in besides this spell. It's called Wake of Ashes. Okay. These types of spells that are small CDs that give you a massive influx of Holy Power is what makes the spell interactions with Holy Power fun. If the only way, which is how it currently seems to be right now, the only way you can generate Holy Power is by using like 2 or 3 spells that have static cooldowns that are not like, there's no RNG to it. There's nothing fun about it, nothing exciting. Like, oh my God, I just got 3 resets in a row, like I do with the Legendary. If that does not exist, the class just kind of sucks. Like, it's actually kind of sad to say. It turns into like the classic Paladin, like the old school Paladin where you're just like, drop Consecrate and just stand still and wait for the mobs to die. Like you just stand there and hope that you don't die. You know what I mean? There's no fun interactions with it. And Divine Toll was the pinnacle of it. Now, granted, I really liked it for prop, but I also like it for the other 2 specs. So we'll see how it plays out for the other 2 specs. But we have a big problem here, okay? And this is not going to work out. So and again, this Legendary now proven as a talent, Divine Resonance. Why would we want that? You know what I mean? The event, and also I'm pretty sure this is bugged and just not working as it should. But the Avenger shields from this talent do not give you all this other shit. They don't do this shit. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that they don't because I did the dungeon with Avenger shield and without Divine Toll, and then with Divine Toll. I just don't think Divine Toll is working right now at all. So I love the spell. This is very almost like kind of emotional for me because when they were talking about talents, all I was saying was I hope that some of the Shadowlands Covenant spells will return as talents. And the number one was Divine Toll. That's due. Obviously, we're not getting that. I'm sad about that. Convoke, there's other spells that I'm like, man, I really hope they'll be there. This was tier 1, number 1 by a mile, Divine Toll. But it's like the monkey's paw. We asked for it, but they took all the stuff that's actually cool about it away. So they do say, again, part of what made that ability fun and impactful is the flood of resources. They know this. They actually know this. I know everybody thinks Blizzard's like stupid, but they know that. They understand that. And they say we're exploring ideas for how to reincorporate this in the future version of the ability. So what do you guys think they should do with the spell? What would they have to do for you to be interested in using it? Because right now it's very competitive. But I think this build right here, very, very powerful. There's another, I actually didn't even say this originally. There's like 9 different iterations with Avenger Shield, dude. So many cool things. I am so freaking excited for this class. I am actually probably more excited for this class than I am Blood DK. I've been playing Blood DK a lot on the beta, alpha, whatever, and it's very powerful. But I think it's one nerf away from sucking. It really feels that way. Because a lot of their talents are very stock and very boring. And I'm honestly waiting for more iteration on their talents because it feels like they're stuck in like the alpha state of their talents almost. Sounds weird to say, but the talents that have come out since Blood DK are just way more dynamic and way more impactful. Now there are still some spells that do not function in the Blood DK talent tree. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it. But as of right now, Prop Pally, Protection, Paladin, Tanking has way more fun shit in their talent tree than Blood Death Knight does. But Blood DK has Death Strike. So thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys in the next one.